For what purpose does the gentleman from Texas seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House suspend the rules and pass H.R. 1550, the Federal Law Enforcement Recruitment and Retention Act of 2011, as amended.
The court will report the title of the bill.
H.R. 1550, a bill to establish programs in the Department of Justice and in the Department of Homeland Security to help states that have high rates of homicide and other violent crime and for other purposes.
Pursuant to the rule, the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Smith, and the gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Scott, each will control 20 minutes. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Texas.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days within which to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous materials on H.R. 1550 as amended, currently under consideration.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, H.R. 1550, the Federal Law Enforcement Recruitment and Retention Act of 2012, was introduced by my friend and colleague on the Judiciary Committee, Mr. Pierluisi of Puerto Rico. It helps focus the Justice Department's law enforcement efforts on the areas of the country that need them the most. Crime in the United States began to rise sharply in the 1960s and continued up to its peak in the early 1990s. In response, Congress and the states reformed their criminal laws to include tougher penalties and truth in sentencing laws, and they dedicated additional resources to target the rising crime rate. To a great extent, our national focus on crime has been successful. The national violent crime rate in 2010 was almost half of what it was in 1991. And crime in the United States has continued to fall in spite of difficult economic times. The violent crime rate fell 5% from 2008 to 2009 and another 5% from 2009 to 2010. Despite this good news, we are far from a solution to the problem of violent crime in all areas of the country. There are still areas where violent crime remains a very serious issue and is even on the rise. For example, in my district, the number of murders in the city of Austin nearly doubled in 1 year, going from 22 homicides in 2009 to 38 homicides in 2010. Puerto Rico, home to the sponsor of this bill, has experienced an increase in drug-related violent crime. With more than 1,100 deaths in 2011, the homicide rate in Puerto Rico last year was more than 5 times the national average. The majority of this violence is attributed to the area's growing drug trafficking trade, which has implications, of course, for mainland U.S. The problem of high crime areas may increase